Now, what do you make of the concerns raised by good doctors in this country who have looked at these various strategies to reform and are very worried about the incremental strategy? Because they say we won't get enough benefit to really win people over to the public, and yet public will get a bad name. They're the single-payer holdouts who believe that's actually the only way that's going to work.
Well, the problem is you can't force, just as right now the health insurance companies and the Republicans are having trouble because it's become clear what they want to do is force people into the system that they already have. From the single-payer point of view, you can't force people into a single-payer either. I have a lot of faith in the American people. Over time, they get it right. And if you put this system that the president has put in place with a public option and a private option and give people the choice, they'll make the right decision.
One little choice question and one little comprehensive question. The choice of choosing into the public plan, will that exist for somebody who has private insurance through their employer? If their employer doesn't opt for the public plan, will they be able to opt for it?
No, not right now. If it's a big company. If it's a small company, the answer may well be yes. But if it's a big company, the answer is no. But that's not where the major problem in health insurance is. Most employer-based plans are pretty good. Over time, if employer-based plans are treated, insurance companies treat people the way that mostly their folks are getting treated now, there will be that option because the public will demand it. I don't think you can make this conversion immediately. Americans are conservative with a small c. They want change, but they don't want it all on top of them, especially in an area as personal as healthcare. I love Obama's plan because it allows the American people to make this change that has to be made at their own pace, and thus deprives the insurance companies and the Republicans of attacking based on half-truths and outright lies and stuff that might happen. Nothing will happen that's bad because you can keep what you have if you like it.
What about if you're an immigrant or there is still a category of folks, including immigrants, who will be uninsured under this plan?
There will be undocumented immigrants who are uninsured. And here's the problem with that. If you insure them, we become a magnet for everybody in the world who has a health care plan. We're not going to be able to afford that. I think where the compromise in the House and Senate is going to be is kids will get insurance, which they should because they're going to grow up in America and be Americans, and the adults will not. And that will still result in some uncompensated care needs to fund hospitals because, of course, they're not going to be turned away at emergency room doors.
As long as we have the discussion about healthcare in the terms that we've been having it, about cost, about quality, about who's going to pay for it, and not changing too much, are we making the progress we need to make towards moving to a system that's driven by healthcare priorities, not profits? Because even under this public plan, we're still going to be working with the government's still going to be working with private insurers, as I understand it.
No, I hope that's not true. And if it is true, it's not a real public option.
The plans are not specifically, not 100% clear yet. But
well, in the Senate, the House has just passed. The House committee has just released a very good start to this. I mean, there's some things that I don't like about it, but I resolved in this particular fight that I was going to only focus on the public option. Whatever else they do can be fixed later if I don't like it. But the public option is very good in the House. The Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pension, the so-called HELP Committee, passed a good plan. The Finance Committee is struggling. They can't seem to. They think they're going to have Republican votes. I don't think you can do this with Republican votes because I think the Republicans are fundamentally disinterested. This is a vote. This is not a vote between conservatives and liberals or Democrats and Republicans, because the public is very clear where they are. They want this. Even if the Republicans and the Democrats both want this public option. This is a vote whether you care about the private health insurance industry more than you care about your constituents. That's what the vote's about. And the Finance Committee's got to get over the hump. And making all these ridiculous compromises, we're going to have co-ops, we're going to have a trigger mechanism. That stuff is all, as they say in New York, bupkis. It's just not real. It's just a way of getting through the Senate. This is not about getting through the Senate. This is about having a decent public plan for all Americans, and that's what they have to focus on.
The Senate, the Health Committee came out with a bill, as you've mentioned. There's much talk now about a good bill is more important than a bipartisan bill.
That's right.
Chris Dodd said that yesterday. But the bill that they have passed has 160 Republican amendments. Have we paid a big price for pursuing that bipartisanship?
Look, Republicans have good ideas once in a while, and they used to have a lot better ideas before they moved over to the far right. We don't have to say no to every Republican amendment. There's some legitimate things that everybody ought to be worried about. The public option is what the American people want, and it's what they deserve, and this plan will not work without a public option. The reason the public option is essential is it's the only way to deliver real consumer protection first, and it's the only way that you can control costs. Medicare doesn't do a great job of controlling costs, but they do a much better job than the private health insurance sector, because the private health insurance sector takes a significant portion of every dollar, uses it for administration, advertising, big CEO salaries, and return on equity. And that is money that never gets to the healthcare system, and money that comes out of your pocket, and it never takes care of you.
Was Rahm Emanuel wrong, who pushed for bipartisanship on this, even as most recently as last week?
Here's the deal with bipartisanship. The new generation that elected Barack Obama, and it was this younger voters that did this, believe in bipartisanship. The trouble is the older generation of Republicans doesn't believe in bipartisanship.
Not one of them voted for the bill.
No, and they're not going to vote for anything else either. They'll smile, and if one or two of them may, but most of them won't. So you can't be bipartisan with people if they're not interested in passing a bill. They know that defeating this bill really is a bad thing for Obama, and that's all they care about. They have not yet transcended what's good for their party and translated into what's good for the country. Mm-hmm.
Now, we're all excited that you're moving to be chair of the Progressive Book Club, but some of
Among my other jobs.
Among your other jobs. But some of us would still have loved to have seen a spot for you in this administration. I know you don't want to talk about it a lot, but there are hordes of people out there in the country who see the responsibility that you had for the 2008 victory and the 2006 victories in the Congress that preceded it as kind of under-celebrated at this moment. So I'll give you a chance. I mean, how do you see the relationship between the Dean campaign at DNC, at the Democratic National Committee, and the Obama campaign? Was Obama campaign Dean 2.0?
It was about Dean 8.0. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a funny little story about this and a serious story about this. The serious story is we hired a 23-year-old guy who was an American living in Sweden, who came over in 2003 and went, oh my God, and moved in and ran a lot of the computer stuff for our campaign. His name was Joe Rosebars. He went on to found Blue State Digital with a lot of other really wonderful people, Ben Self. We hired them to do the DNC when I became DNC chairman, and then Obama hired them away from us in 2006. So you see this thread of how you do this and what the new campaigning looks like through that. The more amusing thing is this. So we started Dean for America. Then when I lost, we continued the organization called Democracy for America. So Obama started Obama for America. When he won, he continued his organization called Organizing for America. And we're both cheaters, because Dean for America, at the absolute insistence of one of the very few big donors we had at the beginning, we copied from the West Wing, otherwise known as Bartlett for America. So Obama's Organizing for America and Obama for America actually comes right from Jeb Bartlett on the West Wing.
So we should just do away with the whole political
regime. It's all evolutionary.
And just let Hollywood run.
All evolutionary. It's all evolutionary. Obama is it was a great campaign they ran. They knew it was the best disciplined campaign I have ever seen. Yeah. They knew where every vote was. We didn't have the capacity to do anything like that.